Avenue in Albany. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you tonight. I am a volunteer with New York Citizens Audit. I'm not an official spokesperson for the organization. I just wanted to address you briefly to give you my personal reasons for supporting the resolution to conduct the independent third-party audit of the New York State voter systems and the data. I feel really strongly that the results of the data analysis that was conducted by NICA volunteer analysts on the data that was foiled from New York State Board of Elections justifies the need for a full end-to-end independent audit. There are so many questionable findings that have not been properly addressed by New York State Board of Elections, and they're very disturbing to me. They might indicate areas of just poorly managed data, could be due to lack of resources. The findings could indicate fraud. They could indicate violations of New York State or federal election law, or they could indicate gaps in the data that leave the system open to fraud to be committed in the future. And just to note, and this is in the Reign of Error document that I think is
Yes,
that in their
they
package?
have it.
Yeah, is in your package. Legally, there can't be more than one error out of every 125,000 ballots cast in a general election. For New York State's 2022 general election, that means only 48 errors would have been acceptable. New York State Citizens Audit analysts found that number greatly exceeded 700,000 errors were noted. So really, the only way to fully know what's happening with New York State voter rolls is by conducting this independent audit. And I think we've become a very divided citizenry. It seems for the past few years, if a Democrat wins an election, Republicans assume there's fraud. And if a Republican wins, Democrats think there's some kind of voter fraud. And there truly is a lack of faith in our election system. It's in the news every day. I think an independent audit of the voter rolls will go far to heal the people of the state and the country. And we're only looking to allay fears of voter fraud on either side of the aisle so voters can feel confident about the results of future elections. We're not trying to overturn any results of any past elections. So there's been controversy about going forward with this full audit, but I don't understand why. Personally, I'm a registered Democrat. I have good friends and family members on both sides of the aisle, and I see the division amongst my own friends and family. And sadly, that divisiveness really started to build after the 2016 election. Again, we need the audit to begin to heal the nation, but, and you'll see the resolution in there, and we are open to change to the resolution before signing. I just wanted to point that out. Again, I think our group has demonstrated enough evidence to warrant the audit, including, as Anna mentioned, the peer-reviewed article in the Journal of Information Warfare written by Andrew Paquette. It's not easy to be published in a peer-reviewed journal. The research and analysis is fully vetted by peers and experts in the field for integrity and sound analysis procedures, or else it won't get published. Do I have time? Is that?
You're out of time.
I am?
Yeah.
Okay. I only have another. I think that, you know, if the audit, if we did a full third-party independent audit and it just found that one of the things that our group found was a problem, it would be, you know, money and time well spent to do the independent audit. And when we presented to other town boards, some of them think, well, my town is fine, I'm not for this audit. And your town could be fine, we don't know until an independent third-party audit is done. But other towns might not be fine, so, and the elections, it's not just about the county officials or the town officials, it's about all of the elections. So you wouldn't want fraudulent votes cast in a different county to negate, you know, the votes cast here. So that's why we're urging people from this town to sign the resolution.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So you have someone that would like to speak, you would come up and say your name.
Or dissension.
Council Supervisor Bott and council members, thank you very much for letting me speak, and I also will look down to try to stay within my few minutes, and I'll be careful of that. Thank you very much from a resident from next door, meaning I live over in Sand Lake. My name is Rob Dressner, Dressner. And by the way, much of which Alexandra just said, our two ends have met on a number of occasions, are extraordinarily reasonable things to say, and I want to tell you why I'm sort of coming with really a process point. Very briefly, as New York Citizens Audit knows from our previous interactions, as Kelly knows from just last night at the county legislature, and I thank you for giving me those extra minute and a half last night. But having interacted at Sand Lake, having interacted at the Rensselaer County legislature several times, there is of course nothing wrong with questioning foiled voter rolls. And I've learned a lot, frankly, from listening to these folks. And asking the boards of election, the state board of election, the county boards of election for audits. These are earnest volunteers, these folks. So what am I up here talking about? The questioning should be carried out in the appropriate venues. The New York State Board of Election, as I said to Kelly last night, as the majority and the minority listened to last night in the legislature. And while I know, and I have seen this myself, these folks have tried, in fact, I have tried, to ask the Board of Elections, look, there are two Stanford law professors who have totally taken this Andrew Piquette, Dr. Dark, this brilliant fellow who may be very brilliant, and have said the opposite, just like you have experts here and you have experts there. And they've tried to talk to the Board of Elections, bipartisan, Republican, Democrat, and they don't get easy answers. They don't return calls, I'm not sure. So that's the appropriate route, however, to have the Board of Election possibly working with independent IT data analysts either confirm or refute, before we get to the 2024 election, peer-reviewed findings of these folks. Frankly, it's time for the Board of Elections to act. In Suffolk County, Supervisor Bott, in Suffolk County, for example, the Republican county legislature did a very right thing through a fellow named, I don't know his first name, Mr. Trotta, I guess Legislator Trotta. He said, Nika, Anna's folks, let me have 100 of these things. I'll call the Board of Elections, let's go down and look at them. They went down in some fashion. They saw these, this guy was born in 1750. This guy, Board of Elections, according to at least the Suffolk County Legislature, had answers for all of this. But it was nonsense. I'm not saying that it is, we don't know. What I am saying is that it turned out that even though there was nothing to it, the material was looked at, in my view, at the right venue, almost none. The appropriate route is not, in my view, by asking towns like North Greenbush, my town Sand Lake, which had the same thing go on, and frankly, to their credit, did not sign on to this resolution, turned down signing it. Because the resolution asks, even though, as was said, words could be changed here or there, it asks you, folks, to incorporate by reference their alleged findings. Let's assume they're all right. But you folks, frankly, no one knows, unless there's some experts that get involved, whether these findings are right or wrong. They're not findings of North Greenbush. They're not findings of Sand Lake. They're not findings of the county. They're findings that have to be looked into. And I think it would be good if the towns, and frankly the county, helps these folks get to the Board of Elections. It's nonsense that they haven't been asking, but it is not to sign this resolution. Doing so, if you do it at some point, adopts in a conclusory manner various whereas, and I'll do that at the end here, various factual and legal findings of their resolution as your own, as if you folks and the constituents of these towns already agree with and support these findings. 4 quick examples. Whereas, I'll excerpt, whereas an open source audit of the New York State 2020 general election, here we go, somebody's coming, this says 2022 as well, conducted by NICA, has uncovered evidence of massive inaccuracies that violate both federal and state laws. I don't think you're ready to necessarily sign on to that without knowing whether it's correct. Whereas these findings trample accuracy requirements of voting systems for a federal election. Whereas efforts of NICA to seek redress for these egregious violations have been met with indifference and inaction. You ready to sign on to that? I don't think that's a good idea. And whereas there prevails a spirit of extreme contention and I know what is being said, there is that, I'll finish in a second, thank you, and zero trust between people of different political ideologies. What I really think, just to end up here, is that the best thing is to help these folks get to the boards of elections and maybe ask questions of these folks of getting some of these data.
All right, well,
But to
thank you.
sign on
You're
doesn't
way
make
over
sense.
time, but
Okay, all right.
appreciate you guys coming in and actually bringing us to light. Everybody, I think, realizes there's issues out there, and it's just a matter of how we get there. You know, and I want to thank you guys for being civil about it and intellectual and.
Right, and actually coming together, and I think if I can just say, as she did last word, my wife just texted me, they went over by 30 seconds, so I'll do 15 seconds here if I can.
No, we got.
Wait a second, no.
We got meetings.
Okay, I understand. I'll hand up then their latest, release as they did. And I think you should make copies so we know the whole board. This is your next one.
He was a minute over, you were a minute over.
I'll give you
Thanks
30
again for
seconds for the
coming.
next one.